Neck-throughs, guitars, they're like a guy that won't have a beer with you.
I want to hear what's pushing the notes.
Freddie King and B.B. King, Albert King, and let's not forget Burger King.
I don't want to blow my knuckle out.
Stainless steel is the work of the devil.
These go to 11.
From the East Amplification Tone Labs in Baltimore, Maryland, it's the Amps and Axes Show. With your hosts, Jeff the Godfather of Low Wattage Amps Bober and Mick Marcelino.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Bober.
Good day to you, Mr. Marcelino. How be you?
I am being head coldish, man. You're going to hear a little nasally. Oh, God. You know, I just love winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that with a lot of sarcasm.
But, today, it's not winter.
That's right. That's why I'm walking around with a head cold.
It's 65 degrees today. Man,
hey.
make up your mind. I'm not complaining.
Let me tell you something. One thing that we can't complain about.
Right.
You know them. They're called our listeners. You guys are the best on the planet, and we're getting compliments all the time, and I can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah, and we couldn't do it without you, and your compliments, because that's nice. But we couldn't do it without you and your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, newly found acquaintances. Just whack them upside the head and go, "Hey, man, you got to check these guys out."
Yeah, and because you're spreading the word, when you do spread the word and you tell your friend, you go, "Dude, man, false. This guy's over here, the Samson Axis." Tell them that you heard it here first.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because if they haven't heard it at all, it's definitely going to be a first for them. So,
exactly.
And most times there's something that's a first for us. So we're going to take a pause for the cause and come back with our guest of the week, which is a first for us.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of times it is. So, and he's kind of he's made his mark in the new technology, shall we say. So we're going to take a pause. Yeah, we're going to take a pause for the cause, come back with our guest of the week, Mr. Cole Rolland.
Hey, this is Nikki Stringfield. I play guitar for the Iron Maidens and Femme Fatale, and you're listening to Amps and Axes.
Cast fans, I got 3 words for you right here. Vinyl me, please. What a cool company. Every month they will send you a new release, and it's not just something you can get in the store. Everything you get from Vinyl Me Please you can't find anywhere else. They work with the artist and the record houses to come up with something really special for you. And it comes with a 12x12 album-inspired art print. And what I think is really cool, a paired cocktail recipe to go with your music. How cool is that? They give you things like colored vinyl, custom lyric books, exclusive artwork, personal notes from the artist, much more. And if you don't like it, they have this program called Swap, where you can actually send it back and pick from another offering in their archives. So it's a really cool thing. Just go to joinvmp.com/AAA or go to our website and hit the link. You'll really dig it. Thanks.
All right, and we are back as promised with our guest of the week. Producer and I guess internet sensation, I might say, Mr. Cole Rolland. So, Cole, how are you?
Good, man. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, man.
Doing
great.
Hey, Jeff, I always have a story, right?
Okay.
I always do. So I'm scrolling through, and Cole was like, I think he was like a spotlight on one of the like guitar magazines, one of these weird social media things. They put up like guitarist of the day type stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like an excerpt from one of his videos, which are highly produced, really, really good. I mean, the quality is amazing. So we got to get into that. But I'm watching this thing, and my son is like beside me, and he goes, "I know that song." Now my son's into EDM, and I'm like, "You know this song?" And he goes, "Yeah, but it's different." He goes, that doesn't have a guitar player like doing that. And I was like, this was the coolest thing ever. He takes these EDM type things and just, it is unbelievable to watch him play these things because his hands are just going all over the place. I'm telling you, Jeff, we're like a Model T compared to these new guitar guys. I mean,
oh, don't I know it?
The speed and the accuracy and just the execution is just unbelievable. But we're going to get into that, of course. I just always have to say where I discovered it, and we got him. So, Jeff, do your thing, brother.
Well, there you go. Well, now that we got him, we're going to find out where he comes from. So, Cole, we're going to jump in the Wayback Machine and going to ask you for a little history, like where you were born and raised and how you got into guitar playing and then into what you do. So, give us some history.
Absolutely, man. That was an awesome intro. Thanks, guys. I was just sitting here smiling away. Yeah, so it's like I've never really been located in somewhere that I feel like maybe I should live for kind of, entertainment and media stuff. I grew up in a town called Port Elgin in Ontario, Canada. So it's really small, pretty small community. And I moved to a city called Sarnia in Ontario to go to school for chemical engineering. So that's what I do as my main job. And then I do music as I'd say I put equal amount of hours into both of them. So that's something that a lot of people don't know about me.
Wow.
Is they think that I do YouTube all the time, and it's half of my time. Half of my time I'm a full-time chemical engineer, and half of it is put into making tunes.
Nice.
How cool is that?
It is. It's parallel with rocket scientist, I guess.
There you go.
Rockets, chemical engineer by day.
Far, man. Just like your Model T comments, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, man, that's funny. So, was anybody in your family musical? Is that where you got it from, or no?
Yeah, a lot of them are actually. My dad is who really got me into it. I have a younger brother named Carter. He's 3 years younger than me. And we kind of we both got into it around the same time. And my dad had a ton of his old guitars in the basement. He just kind of left them out one day. And I swear that was kind of the turning point where it was oh man, this is super cool. I want to kind of mess around with that a little bit. He saw that we were both interested in it, starts kind of showing us, some of his old music. He had the classic, Led Zeppelin box set, all the old Van Halen DVDs and stuff, and I just got right into those. And I remember there was a big turning point for me where I watched the Van Halen's DVD. I think it was the first one they did with Sammy Hagar as their lead vocalist, and there's this guitar battle at the start of it between Sammy and Eddie, and I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I was I want to learn how to do something like that. And that's when I started going really hard on it. And I was probably about 12 years old at the time. And that I seriously, I haven't even put it down since at all. I've been going super steady since I was 12. So
wow.
That was a big one for me, the Van Halen guitar battle DVD. I can't even remember what it is now, so I couldn't even look it up.
That's pretty cool. You said your dad left his guitars out one day. Did he play professionally or just as a hobby?
Just as a hobby, but he was very good.
Cool.
There's a lot of those guys.
Oh, for sure. It's so funny that you mentioned the Led Zeppelin box set and the Van Halen DVD.
Classics, man.
Because when both of those bands came out, neither of those things existed.
Yeah.
There was no box set of Zeppelin. It was the Zeppelin album, and then there was the next Zeppelin album.
There you go.
And then, with the Van Halen thing, it was, when they came out, DVDs didn't exist yet. It's so funny how this all progresses.
Yeah. Man, I know. I sound like such a kid that was born in the 90s, probably talking like that.
But you are, and that's fine, it is what it is. It's, you know, everybody comes from somewhere, and that was the environment and the time and the technology that you came from. I was just, you know, I was commenting on it because it's just, to me, it was just a little bit ironic, you know.
Well, you know, but and also it's like, if you know, coming from where we came from, we had the stuff that was, you know, it was pretty much almost as it was happening.
Sure.
And then now you see how they discover it, and then their interpretation of it is like light years away from anything that we would ever even thought of. You know, it's amazing to me because, I mean, we've had, you know, our past interviews here, we've had some serious people that, you know, like Charles Caswell, he's another one. I mean, just takes a 7 and an 8 string and just does stuff that it's like, where'd that come from? You know, and it's like, oh, well, I, you know, saw some videos on YouTube, and it's like, oh my God. But I guess it makes sense because if you can feed all that information at an earlier age, you know, which we never had, Jeff. I mean, it was just, hopefully we knew somebody or there was a lesson, and then, you know, trying to figure out how to slow albums down.
Right.
You know, that progression takes much longer. And now, because it's literally at the end of your hand, when this thing called a phone, you can pull up anything you want. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a very cool thing. And it's so funny how it really does kind of get triggered by the old guys, you know, the old classic stuff.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. But there is also something that's super cool about almost like not having that resources, and kind of people like had their own, you know, it was like, oh man, this kid that lives down the street from me is like so good at guitar. Like, where did he learn to do that? It's crazy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know, man.
You were relegated to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, when you figured it out yourself, you figured it out, you know, by default in your own playing style.
Exactly, and that's what's so crazy. Like when you look back on, you know, like Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, Paul Gilbert, guys like that have some like super OG techniques. It's like, man, where did you even come up with this? Because like, it's like revolutionary stuff that, like, you know, like I'll do like a two-handed tapping like on a video now. That's nothing new. Like when Eddie was doing it, and he, like, I don't know if he was the original, you know, guy that came up with it necessarily, but he certainly popularized it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Like watching him do that on stuff back, you know, way before I was born was probably just like, holy crap, this guy's on a whole other level compared to anybody. Like he's coming up with like this insane shit. So
yeah, well, you know, when Van Halen 1 first came out and Eruption, you know, made the airways, guys just thought it was a keyboard. I mean, there was reports that it wasn't even a guitar. It was like,
there's no way somebody could be playing a guitar that way.
See, that's the coolest stuff, man. It's stuff like that, like where you didn't know. There's like so much element of mystery to it, and it's how is this guy doing that?
And he would turn his back to the audience.
Oh yeah,
to make sure nobody could figure it out.
That's hilarious. He would do that too.
You know, that's pretty wild stuff. I just love the interpretation that happens today. Because it's like, you know, the guys that, you know, like yourself, I just hear this stuff and I go, I would have never thought of that in a million years. You know, Jeff, it would have been like, nah, it would have never even dawned on me to take like a Skrillex song and try to do this other thing with it. Because it's like, it's so bizarre and far out on its own. You're thinking, well, what else could you do to it? You know, how are you going to manipulate this thing that is just like, sounds that I've never heard before, but yet it's still musical. You know, it has a musical rhythm and beat and everything else, and it's like, oh yeah, well there's Cole over there. He's just doing it.
I will say those. I'm constantly challenged by it. A new one I'm working on now, like especially with the heavier kind of dubstep vibe ones, are so hard. They're like honestly, like we'll be shooting the video for it, and I clearly dub all my audio for it, but like we'll be shooting the video and there's so much going on that I have to reshoot takes all the time because you know, it's hard to follow along with.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah. So what, you know, let's get back to discovering the guitars in the basements and the first music that you got turned on to. Where did that go from there? I mean, did you start playing that kind of music and get together with other people that, other players that had the same likes, or how did you progress from that point?
It's I don't know, because it's weird because I never did see myself doing it, and I'm sure that tons of people say that, but it's like I never thought that it would really go anywhere. So I was always just doing it for my own enjoyment, and I don't know. I was in bands in high school of kind of like various genres. Like there was one that was like really heavy metal, and then there was one where a friend of mine, Kellum, was a really good like kind of blues singer. So we did something like that for a while, and it was like a totally new thing for me to explore. So that was fun, and learned a bunch of new techniques and stuff from him. So it's always cool, like meeting new people and what they're into, and kind of absorbing knowledge from them. But when things started to I started to discover programs that you can create music in, and I didn't really have the means to record anything, so I started tabbing things out all MIDI in a program called Guitar Pro, if you guys have ever heard of it before.
Yes, I have.
Oh, yeah.
And I started using that, I think, in like 2005 or 2006, when it was like, I don't know, I think it had been out for a little bit, so I had Guitar Pro 4. And I was using that to kind of start building ideas, and I was really into Dragon Force at the time, and that's when I came up with that like first YouTube video I ever did. I know it's funny now, but like those guys, I remember seeing some of their videos on YouTube, like their music videos, and I was like, oh my god, this is so crazy, and it just like inspired me to try and learn things like that. And I was like, this is like way over my head. One of my best friends today still, his name is Riley, and I remember meeting him in high school, and he's like, man, I play guitar too. And so we hung out, and he came over to my place, and I was like, oh, dude, let's learn a Dragon Force song. And he's like, this is way over my head, man. And I was like, me too. And it sounded like shit. So yeah, I don't know. It was funny. Like they were one band that I listened to, and it's like funny to look back on now, but they're like a big reason why I learned a lot of the things I know now.
Interesting.
Hey, we met Herman Lee at NAMM 2 years ago.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah. Poolside at some party we were at.
Yeah, very nice guy, and he was intoxicated, but he was
you weren't.
He was a fun dude, and let me tell you that Dragon Force there, I've heard live it's a little lacking because there's so much going on. It's very hard to translate that live.
Sure.
It's not that they can't. It's just I don't think sound works very well when you have all that going on at once.
Their recordings are very 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 polished in the studio, and almost to the point of sounding like I can't think of a good word for it, like maybe digitized.
Yeah, like a machine.
But that's like their sound, man. It's like saying take auto-tune away from like a T-Pain song, and it's a totally different vibe. But the guy's actually a super good singer too, so it's not like they're not good guitar players and that they can't play it. They really are.
Yeah. I mean, all you have to do, if you ever doubt Herman Lee, because there's a lot of guys out on the internet that bash Dragon Force saying it's not really done. All you have to do is watch his instructional video that is everywhere. And that camera is 3 feet away, and it is nothing added on, and he can show you sweep picking that will blow your mind.
Yeah, he's super good.
Yeah. He's definitely one, and just so musical. I mean, God, do you look at some of their music, and when it's written out, it's like, oh my Lord! How do they even remember this?
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes Dream Theater look like they're really not doing a lot.
Oh man, would definitely go that far.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, like a lot of Dragon Force songs, they're kicking. I mean, they're like 160 beats a minute, man. They're moving. And Dream Theater, they kind of go in and out. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's Dream Theater, for God's sakes. But Dragon Force is like
find you.
Exactly. Dragon Force is like a flamethrower. You know what I mean? It's just
hence the name Dragon.
It's just brutal.
Aspects of difficulty for sure.
Yeah. So
it's high school bands. You know, you were what kind of were you playing classic stuff at that point, or were you starting to write your own stuff and just going in your own personal direction? What were you doing?
I just remember having so much fun with it because I didn't have, I was just doing whatever I wanted to do at the time because it was just like, I was like, whatever, nothing really serious has come of it. I don't have to worry about, I wasn't even showing stuff to people, like a lot of my friends, like they knew I played guitar, but they didn't know like what else I could do or, really how good I was because I wasn't like showing them. I was just, at home and making stuff on Guitar Pro and just learning songs or whatever. And it was just like, making me happy. So I don't know. I didn't really think about to show anybody. And towards the end of high school or kind of like partway through, I made a cover of Through the Fire and Flames by Dragon Force. And it was 3 years after the song came out, but it was right when Guitar Hero 3 came out. And that was like the big, like the hardest song they'd ever put on Guitar Hero. So it was like perfect timing. I didn't even think about it. It was perfect timing to make that video. And I didn't even, check up on it for a long time. And I remember a friend of mine coming up to me a year later and he's like, man, have you seen how many views you got on that video? And I have no idea. I haven't looked at it since I posted it. So I checked up on it and it had like 150,000 views, which in 2009 for, a kid that's my only video I've ever put up and like,
wow,
really show a lot of people what I could do. I was like, holy shit, this is super cool. And then it kind of got addicting to, make stuff and then show my friends like, oh man, I made a new video, check this out. And everyone would get like all excited to watch it. So that was like, I don't know, it was like an addicting feeling to kind of gain momentum with it. And I've never really lost the drive to keep doing that.
That's pretty cool. It just, you put it out there and you never know, you never know what's going to happen. And, to have it happen on the positive side, it's like, well, a lot of people like this. Let me try another one and see if that works. So that was what, 2009?
2009, man, like a while ago.
8 years.
I feel like that's like so many people that I know that started YouTube, especially back then. But it was like, I'm going to upload a video on the internet and, oh shit, people actually liked it. It's crazy. Like I didn't think anyone was going to watch this. And it seems like so many people's kind of initial, how they got started with it. It's like, oh, I uploaded this video of me doing this and like a ton of people watched it, really liked it, asked me to do another one. And then it kind of just like snowballed from there. So same thing kind of happened with me. And then I just got like, I don't know. I've always loved doing it. Like it's super exciting for me. So
that's the total opposite for me, Jeff.
Really?
I put no. I was going to say that would be what I would get if I put up a video on YouTube. Hey, could you stop doing that?
Oh, no. Okay. I thought you meant the opposite of like, man, I knew I was going to put up this video.
No.
Do awesome.
No, it's just a shitload of sarcasm.
I got negative 90,000. How did that happen?
Didn't even know that was a thing.
YouTube called me and said, stop.
Stop it.
Really? Oh, that's beautiful. I tell you what, man, as much as you bang your head, I was like, God almighty. And that has nothing to do with his guitar playing, Jeff. But in those videos, holy crap. I was like, because it's like, the dynamic behind the videos, what are you shooting with? Because it is like electrified how it jumps off of the screen.
The new ones?
Yeah, man. Like, is it 4K or what are you shooting at? Because it just, the frame rate looks amazing.
Oh, I'm pumped to hear that. Thank you guys. Like we really, so I moved in, I purchased a house this year and I had like a big room that I could that was extra that I could do whatever I want with. So obviously, the logical choice is to build a dream studio.
There you go.
So I did that, and I was like, "Hey, if I'm gonna step up the quality on all of this, we gotta step everything up all the way around and make it like a consistent, huge quality jump." So I took like 2 or 3 months off of filming videos. I was really busy at my other job. We had like a massive project going on. So between all that, and then I was basically doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. But I was like, okay, we're going to be jumping quality audio wise, video wise. We're going to have like tons of new content to put out. And I started sourcing out the camera work to a new guy. His name's Rory Flores, and he is super good, man. I love working with this guy. My roommate Kyle has shot all my other videos up to this point, and for two guys that had no idea what they were doing, I think they turned out awesome.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
We had no knowledge of any sort of the video aspect, and like we're not videographers by any chance. But my new guy really knows what he's doing. So we're shooting it all on a Sony A6300, I believe, and we shoot at 4K resolution, 24 frames a second. And then we do all of the color grading in Premiere Pro Creative Cloud with the Magic Bullet suite.
Well, there you go. See, that makes a huge difference in the way that the way they have it lighted is pretty unique too, because the lights are like beside him in the videos, and it like the guitars, just the color of the guitars are just exploding. And
that's what I wanted to go for, man. I was like, ESP better be happy with these ones.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like me personally, I'm not a big fan of EDM. I hear my son, he's got a real powerful stereo in his car, and I hear it, and I go, some of it grabs me. Most of it, it's just kind of goes by, Yeah,
I understand.
But I understand that there's a generation that likes this stuff. And then I go and I watch your videos and I go, well, I could dig that song because there's this dude, ripping on guitar.
Right.
So it's actually kind of a neat thing. It's like, man,
that's super cool to hear, man. That's awesome. Bridging the gap.
Yeah. I mean, it really does. It does. Having that live instrument, I think, pulls you in a little bit, for old school guys like us, because it's, we hear the electronic side of it. And it's cool, but it's not like our cup of tea. But when you add a guitar to it, Jeff, it's like, hey, that ain't so bad.
Man, that's awesome, because I show, some of the guys at my other job, and I know that they're not necessarily into that kind of music, and they say the same thing too. It's like, man, when there's a more, like a visual aspect or a live instrument to follow, that's what makes it interesting to them. And I know it's going to be obviously different for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's the direction that I've been hearing about that industry now too, is that a lot of the acts, especially the big ones, are starting to go in a, getting live performers, like live musicians, and they're making it into more of like what you could play in an arena. So you're getting, like the live drums, the live guitars, potential like live vocals, background vocals. And then on top of that, the crazy light shows and pyro and all the massive stage setup that they normally do, which is awesome to see. Like the Chainsmokers, for example, have done that. I've seen Zed as one of my favorite producers of all time, and he's starting to kind of go into that area too. He did a performance on the AMAs last week, and he had a live orchestra do a new song with them, and it was so cool. So it was awesome to see stuff like that.
Well, there you go, man.
Yeah, I guess it puts a more human aspect to it,
I love it, man. I think that's an awesome direction to go.
Yeah. Well, this has already been done once before, and it was called 9 Inch Nails. Because Trent played, Trent did everything on, I saw a documentary where the guy that I think he was the guitar player in the band, he said, all right, man, I got some ideas. When we going to record? He goes, we're almost done the album. And he was like, what?
That's so awesome.
Yeah, we just need you for live. That's all.
And that was it. I mean, because Trent did everything, and a lot of his stuff was generated by computer. It wasn't even a real instrument.
Right. Man, that's true. They were like majorly revolutionary when you think about it.
Oh,
they're huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess so. I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, you're right. He it was almost like Grohl. It was a solo project, and then let's take it out live.
Yeah.
but different. Much different, because he went into more of the everything synthesized and tracked and
Man, have you seen any videos? I don't know if he still is in the same studio, but Dave Grohl's studio and I believe it's in Los Angeles. And he's all about like, you know, the analog and the outboard gear. And this place looks awesome. It is so cool, man. He's got like all like the old school consoles and stuff all set up. And
well,
like,
he owns
the
console from Sound City.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. That's huge.
Yeah, that's the console, and it's in Virginia.
Okay, man, that is legendary, man. That's huge.
Yeah, and they he's got some major crazy 2-inch tape reel-to-reel machines.
I know. I was like, how do you even use this stuff?
Yeah, and he was showing that there was a listener. The guy didn't have any knowledge, but he was like, "Well, we'll give you a tour." And this was out in L.A. Jeff, he had like he had a area, I guess, where they didn't do final mixing, but they had reel to reel there. You know, they had 2-inch, and he goes, "Here's Monkey Wrench," and he just spooled the thing up, and he was playing it back, and then he was dropping channels and tracks, you know, as he was going along, and the guy was just like, he was oblivious. This guy, he was just a listener that won some prize. I'm sitting there watching this video going, holy crap. And it was one reel per song.
That. Yeah, I think I saw that. Like he takes them to the warehouse and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, super cool video.
And he was talking about that warehouse, and he goes, this was the only warehouse in this area that no porn was shot in. So much porn was shot in this industrial area. He goes, it was insane to find a building that they hadn't done that in.
That's hilarious.
That's funny. Yeah, I thought Mick, unless I'm mistaken, I thought he brought the Sound City console back to his
could be.
Virginia.
It could be. Yeah, this was like you know what it looked like to me, Jeff? It was the warehouse. They had 15 drum sets, because he goes, every time we go out on tour, they give me a new drum set. This is where it ends up.
Yeah.
So it looked like it was like their own rehearsal place. Like they could go out there and rehearsal, and they had a console, and they had 2-inch tape, and I guess that's where they stored all of the 2-inch tape stuff. Maybe it was a humidified controlled room or something.
Yeah, probably.
And that video came out some years ago, so it probably is, it's Dave Grohl money. It could be anywhere on the planet.
That's true.
That's right, yeah. I originally saw it, too, and I was like, holy shit, this is super cool.
Yeah, and the guy that won, I felt bad for him, because not everybody knows, but he was just like, uh-huh. And Dave's trying to explain this stuff to him, and he's just like...
A little lost on him?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and they're just drooling all over everything. Man.
Right.
Remember when you broke your leg?
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, the tapes are really nice, but weren't we supposed to have lunch?
Yeah, I'm kind of hungry. Can we just
get a little hungry? Can we speed this up?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Christ.
I saw this funny post about Aerosmith, and it was sorry, it's about Steven Tyler, I guess, in the 80s, and he was on a big, drug and alcoholic partying bender. So he's kind of like a little bit out of it, and this song comes on the radio, and he's like, man, this is awesome. We should do a cover of this song. And Joe Perry's just like, that's us, you idiot. I thought that was so awesome.
I don't doubt that for 1 second.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Man.
Don't do drugs.
Really.
So
if you're going to drive, do drugs. No.
Oh, yes.
So ESPs your guitars. Do you use any amplifiers?
No. So that's when we were talking about some of the more old school stuff at the start of this. I was like, oh, wait till I just tell them that I don't use amps.
No, it ain't. You're not the first, so it's okay.
No, it absolutely does not surprise me at all, because to do something like that, like what you do, I don't think that there would be any substantial improvement to what you do and how you do it and how long it takes you to do it, to add the fact that you have to mic and you have to get a proper sounding amp, the way you like it, and mic it so that it sounds good, and have the room to do it, have the ability to turn it up. I don't know that all of that would add X percentage more to what you do. So I can totally understand not using an amp in that situation.
And I will say too, normally, and I use the Axe Effects by Fractal Audio. They're another sponsor of mine, and I love this thing so much, man. Like I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's cool because when I've done guest live performances for some of like the EDM artists that I've covered.
Oh, cool.
And all I do basically is I bring my laptop, I bring my Axe effects and a guitar, and then they run me through the PA system, and I get my exact tone that I got on videos. Like if the PA is like of good quality, then it's perfect. And I've done that on like a large stage. I've done it in like a club scene or like, like kind of like a bar venue and stuff too. And it's been consistently really good. And so easy too. Like I can show up with like, no one helping me with gear, and do. I basically just have my guitar case and my Rode case or the Axe effects, and I'm set. So that's been awesome. And an example of me kind of, I don't know. I feel like I'm like so out of touch with outboard and like, actual amplifiers now that like when I went to do EMG TV for EMG pickups a couple of years ago, I didn't bring my Axe effects because I was like, oh man, they have so much awesome gear there. Like I'll just use that. And I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll be able to dial on something awesome. I had to use all the analog stuff and I had the hardest time with it. Like I'm so used to having all my presets and all my stuff like digitally set up, and I just go like 3 or 4 clicks and I'm good to go. We were setting up the amp. I don't know how to like mic it properly. I'm trying to figure out how to like get this analog delay pedal the way I want it and stuff. And I'm like, I had such a hard time with it. It ended up being okay, but just an example. It's a little bit more work.
Well, yeah, I mean, and for old school people that are used to amps and things, the digital world at this point is a bit more work. Yeah,
I agree with you, man, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends. What you've come up with for the most part, and what you're used to, and what you've decided works for you.
Right.
And that's fine. And that's bottom line, that's what matters. I mean, does it work for you? Does it make you feel good about playing? And if so, then you're probably going to play the best instead of worrying about something that's not quite right, not quite working. Wish I had this kind of, scenario.
So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I totally agree.
Oh, back in the day, man, when I had the Rocktron Chameleon, boy, I tell you what, that thing, when you figured that thing out, you were like, well, okay, now I can actually, I can do brain surgery.
Right.
Was that a rack unit?
Yeah, it was a rack unit, and they were probably the easier of all of the guys that were out there. Like even like Digitech, they had the DSP-21. Roland had some stuff, but they were pages upon pages, and then it was just mind-boggling, and you couldn't see it on a computer. It wasn't like any kind of real-time thing, and it was crazy, right. Man. It kept you busy.
If I didn't have the firmware for my Axe effects, like the software that goes on your computer called Axe Edit, like I can't do this thing just on the actual rack unit itself. It seems so complicated to me. I have to do it all on the computer first. So
yeah, and that's what those early ones were like. There was a little tiny screen.
Oh.
And you did everything from there,
So crazy, man. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, the technology has made it a little bit easier for guys.
For sure.
Man, absolutely. I was going through some of your guests that you've had on here, and I was like seeing names like Paul Gilbert and stuff, and I was like, man, I have to follow Paul Gilbert? This is crazy,
man. Paul, let me tell you, and we've said this, every time we talk about him, Jeff, Paul Gilbert is in 24 by 7 teaching mode. He is always that guy. He will always
imparting knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah. It's just amazing. And when you're the king of speed like that, and you've done, God knows how many concerts and everything else, really you got to kind of be like Bill Gates and give a little bit of away, give some of it away,
How many notes do you think Paul Gilbert has played in his life?
Well, I don't know if Michelangelo Badio has anything against it,
right?
near him.
Well, he's kind of bullshit though, because like he does the 2-hand thing at the same time, so it's just like doubling up.
Yeah, he cheats.
Yeah, he cheats, and that's kind of.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. All he has to be is ambidextrous. Now, come on.
Oh yeah, just throw that on our resume.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know,
so,
we.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say the fastest guy we've ever had on, I think, was probably Rusty.
Oh, I saw that his name on.
Yeah.
Too, man, Rusty's crazy.
I wanted to go into. You mentioned producer. So,
Yeah.
you know, what do you do in that realm? And have you been involved in like scoring, you know, or video game soundtracks, or what do you do in that realm?
So in a way, it's like self-proclaimed, but I would consider myself professional at it. So I produced my own EP last year, and anytime I do a video that I have like a guest vocalist on, like all of those ones are produced from scratch. So I'm, you know, doing all the mixing, mastering, recording. Like I have like basically that huge sample library from Native Instruments called Complete. So I'm doing all those and figuring out how I'm gonna make the track work. So like sometimes those end up being massive projects. The one that I just put out I think 2 days ago now. It's a medley of the artist Zed. Who I mentioned earlier in this podcast. I did all of that from scratch. So I made the entire arrangement on piano first, and then I started to kind of backtrack in the project and build in other instruments like the cinematic aspects, the orchestral strings and stuff, adding it to the piano arrangement, and then building in the full band and stuff. So I did all that from scratch, and then I do the video production too. So I work with Rory on that. After we shoot and we've done, you know, setting up all the lighting properly, we shoot the video, and then I do all the editing and the color grading correction, and then basically put together the video from a branding standpoint as well. So there's a lot from start to finish from making one of my videos, because there's a lot of people that totally think I just plug in my guitar and I play the song and then we shoot a video and that's it. There's a lot more to it behind the scenes that people don't really know about.
I'm sure.
Yeah. It just seems like there's really almost, I mean, you know, unless it's some cat or dog video, something, there's almost nothing out there. There's almost nothing out there that is just, okay, I shot this with my iPhone and I put it up. You know, it's just not that anymore.
No. Yeah, no, you have to have, in order to stand a chance at all, you have to have production value to your content 100%.
Yeah, and that will make or break, you know, because you could have the best sounding thing, but if the video doesn't line up, or you're screwed.
Totally. And like you could shoot something on your iPhone that just is a total like fluke viral video. Yeah. But I believe if you want to have any sort of like longevity and potential like brand promotion and stuff like that, then you need to have high quality production, because that's just where like the bar is at now. You can't be, you know, you can't expect to get hundreds of thousands of views like shooting guitar videos on your iPhone with that like poorly phased audio and stuff. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and there's really no excuse. I mean, God, you can get GoPros for dirt cheap now that shoot 4K, and it's like
fantastic.
You know, it's a great time to be poor, I think, because you can have like a 55-inch television for $350. When I was growing up, we had a 13-inch black and white that couldn't pick up 3 channels, but now you can have the side of your house, you know. So it's actually a pretty good time to be, you know, because everything is very affordable, and when it comes to electronics, at least, you know.
Right. Yeah, totally. I agree with that. But also too, like, you know, if you are gonna spend money on that gear and stuff too, you have to spend the time to learn it, because tons of times, like, you know, you could go out and buy a DSLR camera, like a really good one, for like less than $1,000 and not spend any time learning it, and it's almost like useless to you.
Yep.
Like you need to actually figure out how to use those kind of things and figure out, you know, all the ins and outs of it, and then you can make like really good quality product from it.
Oh, and I can attest to this. Back in the days when I was out playing music, a lot of times you'd meet a sound man and you go, what is wrong with this guy? Like, what is the issue behind this guy? And it was like, oh, I got it. He had some cash. He bought a sound system. He brought it into this bar. He told them he knew how to mix sound. Clearly he didn't, and he was doing it because it was his way to be connected with the act.
Yeah, dude, totally.
What's this knob do?
Oh, God. How many dives I played with how many bad sound men. Jesus.
Oh, for sure. Man.
Oh, I bet, man. Yeah, that's going to be a forever problem.
Yeah.
Well, it just makes you appreciate a good one when you find it.
Oh, that is true.
100%, man. 100%. Almost all of my bands that are, my friends that are in bands that are like constantly touring acts, like hire a consistent sound guy that tours with them.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing that they can spend money on now. You know, Jeff, the bands is that they'll spend the money on a guy who can do. I heard the other day the guys that do the in-ear monitor mixes now are becoming very sought after because, you know, when you don't have that amp on stage or it's buried in a cabinet somewhere, you know, in the next zip code.
Yeah, right.
The monitor mix guy going to the in-ears is like, you know, he's now becoming more valuable than the guy in front of house, which is not true, but it's because the band, you know, think about it. If you're not hearing things the way they should or the EQ's off or whatever, I've talked to some guys. They said it goes bad quick.
Yeah, it compromises your performance. Because it zaps some energy from the performance into you fighting with trying to hear and feel proper on stage, you know, and that's no fun.
Those in-ear monitors are invaluable, man. They're incredible to have.
Yeah, especially when your amp is a box that has no speakers.
Exactly.
That's your lifeblood, man. It's like, you know, you better hope that thing is, you know, those guys are doing their job, because if your guitar disappears, you just disappear. It's like, you know.
Right. And you know, the more that guys go out, you know, all the tours now, they're weekend fly dates, you know, it's the guy going with his guitar case and his suitcase and, you know, maybe another road case, who knows, full of virtual stuff and maybe a pedal board. You know, you're at the mercy, if you get a backline at all, you're at the mercy of the backline for sound. So everything is so much more in the hands of the front of house guy now. It's like, well, we can't spend money to send, you know, to tour with our gear, but you have to spend the money on a front of house guy because you're totally, you know, at his mercy, at the mercy of the front of house, how you're going to sound. So that's becoming more and more important. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, you know, the tide has changed in that sense that it's just the airlines and, you know, just all the travel expenses. The days of old, I mean, we just probably won't see that from anything that isn't like a major arena type act.
Right.
And it's sad. I mean, it you know, because there was something visceral about that back in the day. You know, when you'd see that line of Marshalls, you knew half of them weren't turned on, but it was that stage show, you know, that thing.
Of course.
But there was a full stack cranking somewhere.
Oh yeah.
You know? And
it wasn't off stage.
No, it wasn't off stage at all. It was, you know, because it was like, wow, that guy's getting tremendous amount of feedback from that guitar.
That was the coolest shit though, man. Like I remember watching this Ozzy Osbourne DVD, and Zach had the huge wall of Marshall amps behind him, and like during one of like the riffy parts, he just turns around and just like headbangs towards the wall of amps, and it was like, I was like, oh, that's so badass. Like, I love it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, the one thing about Ozzy is that everything is live on that stage, because it's he uses monitors, not in-ears, and it's all the real deal. And we talked to Gus G, and I told him, I said, there was something about that show, because Ozzy's voice isn't there anymore. It's pretty shot. And but there was something about that show that I was like, man, that was one of the best concerts I ever saw. I mean, it was real. It was really, yeah. I mean, it was like you could feel the guitar, like the
so cool.
It was different. I mean, and it didn't have anything. Even though they have a keyboard player that sits up in the rafters, you know, his parts were only there for the parts that you heard on the album. Everything else was just the band, and it was kicking, man. It was Black Sabbath was the same way.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah.
I wish I was around in the 80s to like see the live act then. Would have been really awesome.
Yeah, well, I just saw the end was it last year, right?
Oh,
when
the
did
tour?
I see? Yeah, the Black Sabbath, the end. I saw that. That was crazy. Because, you know, Geezer Butler, man, he hasn't missed a beat. That guy's amazing. And Tony, you know, having cancer and surviving it and then coming out and still being
I
Tony.
had just seen, I just seen an email headline from one of the guitar mags that said, you know, Tony Iommi officially gives Black Sabbath its last rites. So it's done.
Yeah,
it's done.
he'll do what Clapton's doing, where he'll just make an appearance. Because he's already done that. He played with like some symphony not too long ago. But
that's man, I love that. That's actually so cool that they do that stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, Yngwie did it, and it was like, wow, it's Yngwie playing Yngwie with an orchestra playing Yngwie.
That was the next one I was going to mention. That was another video that I watched that I was just like, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen.
You know, it's pretty tough when the orchestra's having a tough time keeping up with the guitar player.
Oh yeah.
And he's critiquing their playing because he wrote all the music.
Plus, Yngwie would do that anyways.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You go rehearse that part and fix that while I go get another glass of wine. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna throw this Strat up in the rafters. I'll be back.
Right. Have it right by the time it comes back down. So
18th century.
Cole, what's next for you? Anything you want to tell us about? Any endorsements that you missed? And do you ever plan on going out and playing live with a band, and you know, whether that's covers or originals or
Absolutely. Anything? So my main goal, especially with kind of like we talked about, like the EDM vibe stuff, and I've been, you know, kind of talking to some of my friends that are in that industry, is that a lot of people are looking to start incorporating live instruments, live performers and stuff into those acts, and I would like to get my foot in the door for that. That would be the most ideal thing. So I'm going to keep plugging away with what I'm doing, but trying to create some, you know, game-changing video ideas. I don't want to give anything away, but I have a friend that's a really talented video producer. So we have a idea to clone me. So I'm going to do that.
Hey, when you get that done, call me, because I need that done.
Oh, man.
I need the other guy to go do stuff.
Will do, man. Yeah, we're going to try and do a game-changing video with that. And I have a new friend. Her name's Christina Sciano, and she's a really talented drummer. So we're working on a video. I think it's going to be out on Friday or Saturday this week. So I'm going to get back to recording that after this and shoot that video. And other than that, guys, that's kind of my end game goal. I'm still going to keep posting consistently. I've got the new studios all set up, and we got the quality jump. We're good to go on pretty much all fronts right now. So I'm going to keep plugging away with those.
So what we're going to do, we're going to put your website, all of the social media stuff, links to your YouTube channel, all the way down. That will live in
perpetuity.
That's right. And when you go back in the archives, all that stuff will be there. Definitely go check out Cole's stuff, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. You know, we've talked from everybody on the planet that you can imagine, music genre wise, and this seems to be like a new thing, but it's not the EDM thing that you know that you hear when a kid's going down the street. This has been changed, and it actually is very cool. And I recommend everybody to check it out, and definitely the video aspect, just to watch him play, because it's pretty spot on, man.
There you go.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. No problem, Cole. Enjoy what you're doing, especially now that you got the new improved stuff. I know it's always more fun and exciting to do something when it's new and improved, but keep enjoying what you do, and your audience will keep enjoying it, and much continued success. And I wish you success in getting in with the live thing too. That could be very, very cool. I hope that works out for you.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right,
it's all good, Cole. Have a great one, man.
As a special offer to our audiences, warbyparker.com will give you a 5-day home try-on complete with 5 pairs of glasses to choose. Just go to warbyparkertrial.com/AAA to get a free 5-day home try-on. Warby Parker makes buying glasses online easy and risk-free. Their home try-on program allows customers to order 5 pairs of glasses to be shipped directly to them, where they can try them on in the comfort of their own home. For every pair of glasses sold, Warby Parker distributes a pair of glasses to someone in need. Warby Parker makes buying glasses fun, easy, and pain-free. Warby Parker keeps their styles highly curated, fashion-forward, and extremely wearable, while including high-quality lenses and coatings at no additional cost. Warby Parker makes your experience completely risk-free and free shipping all around. Visit warbyparkertrial.com/AAA to begin your free home trial on experience today.
And there you have the story.
Yeah, it's a cool one. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, there's many different ways to make it in the music business nowadays, just because of technology. There's different ways and different things you can do to make it, and he's found a way that he enjoys, and seems to be generating a lot of interest.
I think thing is, Jeff, and it's like anything else, you gotta really start you gotta dig deep and get creative, not only actually with the music, but how you deliver it. And look, this technology, until the EMP hits, kids, it's here. And and I'm not just talking the virtual amp thing or any of that stuff. I'm just talking about the delivery system. If you want to get yourself out there, you got to play in the ball field that everybody else is playing in, or else you will just literally grind yourself in this perpetuating thing that won't ever really make you anything, because now you have to spread over this thing called the internet, because that's where everybody is paying attention.
Right. And it is relatively saturated, even though we're supposed to be in the infancy of it still, kind of. We're in grade school still with technology compared to what's supposed to come. God help us all. But the thing is that, from talking to him, because it is so saturated, you got to commit to it. It sounds like you got to put a lot of work in consistently, and then hope that it catches, but that's what he's doing, and that's what he has been doing. He works his day job, and then this is just like a day job. So it's much more than a hobby that he threw out some content on. He's very adamant about putting in all the work that's necessary to make this stand out above the rest.
Sounds like our podcast.
Right.
Because, you figure, the consistency is the name of the game. And I'm proud to say we're coming up on the start of our 5th year. And, right, because we did 2014, we did 2015, 16, 17, right? We're coming up on the beginning of the 5th year, and we have only missed 1 week, knock on wood, since we started this podcast. And that is the tough part for a lot of guys that do podcasts, because
it's not easy.
Just this show alone, I mean, I dig deep sometimes trying to find people, and so do you, just because it's like, hey, man, we haven't gotten response in 3 weeks from anybody, I mean, you guys want to know you want to know a little bit behind the scenes? Sometimes these people don't respond ever.
Right.
Sometimes they do, and then it's 4 weeks of back and forth trying to figure out when they can do it, and then them not really responding sometimes, and it's like, it can be very frustrating, with all this technology and putting yourself out there, but it's the persistence. You just got to keep doing it. And if you're doing something good, hopefully you guys love this show, you tune in every week, then we can stay on for 4 or 5 years.
Right.
You know? So there you go. How about that?
I
You
think
like
that
that?
about sums it up there.
There you
I think
go.
that about sums it up.
So until next time, my friend.
Right, because we're so consistent, we might come back.
I'm Mick Marcelino.
I'm Jeff Bober.
And we're always saying,
onward.
Be sure and follow the show on Twitter at Amps and Axes. Also, make sure you like the show on Facebook. For news, comments, and everything else, visit the webpage, ampsandaxescast.com. Thanks for listening.